Japan will be more of the same, an importation of all the Chinese schools, including that old Theravada sect, the Madhyamaka, Yogacara. All of them will be imported in Japan, but unlike Korea, where we saw the creation of a government system under a unified form of Buddhism, Japanese Buddhism, all the sects will each maintain their distinctiveness. We can even call Japan a museum of Buddhism for the fact of having preserved some forms that died out elsewhere. And Japan will even maintain the Tantric Buddhism that will die out in Korea and China, and never have a huge career in Vietnam either. It will, however, of course, in our next unit, loom large in Central Asia. Even this Tantric Buddhism, though, still borrows the Chinese idea of the one mind, personified as Mahavairochana, the great illumination, equated with the sun, and of course, famously, the land of the rising sun, and the sun on the flag itself means that Buddhism does get involved with the government and ideology, as it does everywhere, as much as Buddhist thinkers try to keep it out. Kukai, or sea sky, the tantric practitioner, will import so many Buddhist traditions and sects into Buddhism along with the Tantric Buddhism. And the other, perhaps greatest hero of Japan is Saicho, who brought the one vehicle Tiantai, or Heavenly Terrace School, to Japan along with Chinese tea. Shinran will emerge in Japan as a special kind of Pure Land teacher. Shinran will leave the elite monastery realizing in his mind that indeed Buddha is with the common people. Why? Because the common people are less arrogant than the scholars or the city people or rich people. So he left the monastery behind, got married, and had a child, Zenran, who will rebel against him later. We can see him here wearing peasant garb because he is a populist leader of Buddhism. In his view, the most sinful people are closest to Buddha because of their lack of ego, in his opinion. In the Kamakura period, Dogen will become perhaps the best known Zenist in the West. He will talk about the dropping off of mind and body in Zazen, or Zen meditation. And here we can see the three distinct characters, Shinran and Dogen the Zenist. And finally, we have the really odd one out in the whole history of Buddhism, Nichiren, seen here looking rather angry and holding a scroll in his hand. That scroll is the Lotus Sutra. And he claims, apart from the Lotus Sutra, no one can attain awakening. And because the Lotus Sutra teaches that all beings will lead to awakening, so if you don't follow that, then you're not going with the flow of Buddhism. This is the only scripture-centered form of Buddhism quite like that. And Nichiren is upholding the Lotus Sutra, which has been called the gospel of all Asia. Well, that's not very accurate, but it does get to the importance that the Lotus Sutra, with its teaching of many vehicles to awakening, but that they're all eventually just one vehicle to awakening, made the Lotus Sutra the most popular in East Asia. And so there you have it. The masses of peasants will follow the Pure Land. The elite samurai of Japan will follow Zen, as will the warrior Shaolin traditions. And finally, the odd one out in the whole Buddhist world. There's no teacher like Nichiren.